What's up, guys? We are back for another video, and I released a video Sunday night for 4 players that were injured that will bounce back in 2021. And when I released that video, there were several comments like, hey, what about this player? What about this player? And everything in that nature, right? So Sunday's video was not to exclude a few players, and that's why we're going to do today's video. We're going to talk about more players that will bounce back in 2021. Now, specifically, I did put in the description of the video, Dak Prescott. I did not want to include him because I think it's, too obvious that he's going to bounce back, right? I think Dak is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I don't want to get into rankings, but I do think Dak is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I just really didn't want to spend, a 2.5 minute segment of me talking about him when I feel like it's pretty obvious, and Cowboys fans, some people like to slander Dak, but I think he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I kind of thought it was too obvious to put him in, so we're not going to include him in today's video for that reason. But before we get started and dive into 4 more players that will bounce back into 2021, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as each only take a second to do, and it would be very much appreciated. Now let's begin. First player we are going to discuss in today's video is a player that had over 2,000 yards less in 2020 than what he had in 2019, and that is Panthers all-world running back Christian McCaffrey. Now, Christian had nearly 2,500 total yards in 2019, and to say that's absurd would be an understatement, and to be honest with you guys, there's really no adjectives or any other, words to describe how good of a year that is. 2,000 yards for Derrick Henry in 2020 was phenomenal, and congratulations to him for having a very successful season, but 2,400 total yards and nearly 25 is on another planet, right? So Christian had a very injury-riddled 2020, and what's going to be good for him this year is he's probably going to have better quarterback play this year than what he had in 2019, and Christian in a way is similar to Dak, because I don't see a way where he doesn't bounce back assuming he stays healthy. This guy's talent is off the charts, and he is without a doubt one of the best players in the league. Not just one of the best running backs or offensive weapons, if you want to call him that, because he's had 1,000 yards in a season receiving before. He is one of the best players in the entire NFL. Now, Joe Brady really never got to utilize him to the way that he would have liked to last year, I'm sure, and Christian averaged the least yards per carry next to his rookie season in 2020. So, again, there weren't a lot of carries last year, to really over the long haul to, try and determine what he would have actually averaged, because he only played in a few games, but he still rushed 4 or 5 touchdowns in his limited time in 2020. Now, Christian will bounce back again, as we said, and it's just a matter of how many yards he will have. Can he hit 2,500 in a year is going to be something to watch, and honestly, as crazy as it sounds, he can. He nearly hit it in a 16-game season back in 2019, and if he did it in 16 games, then what's another game going to give him? More opportunities, obviously, right? Now, not to say he will, but I would be personally very surprised given how much they use him and how much Sam Darnold will certainly use him as a safety net. Looking here now, I would be surprised if Christian does not have, and this is assuming he plays all 17 games, because obviously, and we hope he does not, but if Christian, God forbid, tears an ACL in like week 5 or something, that's kind of invalid as to what I'm about to say, but I would be very surprised if Christian McCaffrey does not have at least 1,700 total yards over the course of the 2021 season. And the next player that we have for today's video is a pass rusher that was the youngest to 50 sacks in NFL history, and it is Danielle Hunter. And if you know anything about Danielle, he is a physical specimen by every means, and this guy is a player that offensive linemen certainly do not look forward to playing to every Sunday. He's had double-digit sack seasons multiple times in his career, and in 2021, I certainly expect that to continue, and this is really assuming the Vikings stay healthy as a defense, because if they don't, then they can pretty much triple team Danielle and say, good luck, buddy, and go on with that, right? So the 2020 Vikings season, they had a lot of players injured, and Danielle Hunter, Anthony Barr, and Eric Kendricks were 3 of the guys that were injured, right? So Danielle specifically will return, and him returning makes a huge difference. As, all preseason we were told it was just a tweak of an injury for him, and that tweak, from Mike Zimmer himself, ended up being a long-term season ender. And Danielle reached 50 sacks in December of 2019, and now he was probably not going to get to the 200 mark set by Bruce Smith, the all-time mark, but there's really no chance or no problem to think that he could have had 150 plus, and that is probably dwindling now with the full season missed. Even if he would have played 6 or 7 games last year and maybe had like 5 or 8 sacks type thing. But anyways, getting back on track here, Daniil will be back in 2021, and he will soon be creating havoc and forcing major problems for opposing NFC North quarterbacks, and he always eats against the Lions, and with Jared Goff there now, granted the Lions offensive line has improved significantly, but Jared Goff will soon face the wrath of Daniil Hunter, and it's not a wrath I'd like to face if I were him. Daniil is a big physical guy, and he's pretty muscular if you've ever seen him on the field. He's, quote unquote, from other players, he's got veins everywhere, and other NFL players have described him. That's who you create on Madden, is Daniil Hunter, and he will be back in 2021, and if he does not finish with at least a second-team All-Pro and probably 13 or 14 sacks in a 17-game season, assuming he plays all of them and is fully healthy, consider me shocked. And next is a 2019 first-round pick that had over 100 tackles in his rookie year, but unfortunately, like a lot of people did in 2020, tore his ACL last year. This is Devin Bush of the Steelers, and Devin Bush, in a sense, like a lot of other young linebackers, kind of took a backseat to Devin White, as Devin White had a terrific 2020 season, had a terrific postseason, and finished as a Super Bowl champion, led of course by the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers. Now, Devin Bush, in a sense, he was a little forgotten about outside of the city of Pittsburgh in 2020, as, like we said, there were a lot of young linebackers that stepped up last year, and Robert Spillane also stepped up for the Steelers and had a very good few game stretch for them. And in the national media, the Steelers were 11-0, but nobody was really saying, again, outside of the Steel City, like, man, imagine how good this team would be if they had Devin Bush, and, this team could start out 13-0 if they had Devin Bush. It really wasn't like that outside of Pittsburgh, and, not that Steel City was even saying that if they had Devin Bush, they'd go 16-0, because they weren't. But what I'm saying is Devin Bush will have 100 tackles plus this year, and what's unfortunate for the Steelers is they lost Ryan Shazier a couple years ago, but what I would have loved to have seen is Ryan Shazier and Devin Bush on the same field at the same time. It, in a sense, would have been Madden out there. You have two very fast, very good linebackers at the same time. But anyways, enough of that. Devin Bush will be back in 2021, and we all, of course, pray everyone and wish everyone the best that, they do come back off their injuries bigger and better and faster. And Devin Bush, assuming everything is going right, will probably do just that, and he will soon be wreaking havoc against players like Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson. The final player we go to for today's video, and the light is getting, it's about 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, so the light's getting darker, so I'm going to try to mess with the lighting a little bit. But anyway, the final player for today's video is Michael Thomas of the New Orleans Saints, and can't guard Mike is a terrific receiver. Now, I don't care about Slant Boy and whatever else and whatever other false narratives there are about him. He had 149 catches in 2019, and that type of season does not happen. The most receptions in a single season in NFL history does not happen if this said player is not good, right? That does not happen by mistake. And the reason why I think Michael Thomas will bounce back is it's pretty simple. Regardless if Taysom or Jameis is throwing him the football, I do think both of those guys will certainly lean on Thomas a lot, and he will certainly, his targets will be increased from what they were in 2020. Obviously, he was injured for a lot of the year, but they are going to lean on him. They're in a pickle. They're in the pocket just looking around. Ball's going to Michael Thomas. That's going to happen a lot. Him and Kamara are going to lead the team in touches, and it's not even going to be close. They're going to each probably, Kamara's obviously a running back, so he's going to get way more carries than Michael Thomas, obviously. But, they're each going to probably have 80-plus catches, and Alvin has not had a season in his NFL career where he's not had at least 81 catches, and he had 81 in 2017 through 19 and 83 in 2020, and Michael Thomas will have over 100 again if he's healthy for the full year. That's just really all there is to it. They're going to lean on him like you've never seen before, and Drew kind of did that towards the end in 2019, and there's a reason why 149 catches happened, and especially at the catch rate that Michael Thomas had. Can't guard Mike is a very true statement, and there will be games where he has 6 catches for 80 yards, and that's a down game for him, and that goes to show how good of a player he is. 1,700 yards receiving does not happen by mistake, and the 2019 season he had was, in a sense, it was kind of underrated, because there's not a lot of players in the NFL history that have done what Michael Thomas has done through the first 4 years of his career, and year 5 is kind of a scratch for him. But if Michael Thomas, and assuming he stays healthy for the next 5 to 6 years, if he retires with less than 1,000 catches in his career, then I would be very, very surprised. Now, with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I do have a quick announcement. I am going on vacation. I am going to Hawaii in the next couple of weeks, so it's a once-in-a-lifetime type trip, so the videos are going to be slowed down, and for anybody that likes the old style, there will be old style videos in the next few weeks. It's going to start sometime next week. I'm not going to say when, but I am going on vacation, so it's going to be a slow few weeks. So I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. That is all I have, and until next time, have a great day. Love you guys. Deuces. Peace.